Dear students, I welcome you all in this YouTube lecture on Rabbi ben Ezra. I have already uploaded 2 videos and covered 12 stanzas. Today I will take explanation from stanza number 13. Most noticeable thing in all the discussions on Rabbi ben Ezra is the philosophy of life of Browning. And almost all the points which we discussed under Browning's philosophy of life can be traced here in the poetic lines of Rabbi ben Ezra. As Browning believes in the immortality of soul, he believes in a life that is to be taken in terms of perfection, and perfection is not going to have here on this earth only, rather there is a life after this life, and in totality evaluation is done. Apart from this, he repeatedly talks about old age and youth, and he says that youth is the preparation of the old age. Besides this, one more important aspect we should here take into account, and it is Browning's concept of love. Let me tell you that this concept of love is not entirely new. Entire devotional poetry of India is filled with this kind of concept of love. Just as you saw in previous talk, I gave example of Meera, that how she is doing frenzied dance in the love of Sri Krishna, and ultimately she finds that ecstasy the moment she is having merger with Lord Krishna. Another example can be of Kabir Das when he writes that Gagan Mandal mein Sej Piya ki. That means he considers to himself here as beloved, and Almighty is limitless, is infinite. It means there is no particular shape and size. So the whole Gagan Mandal, the whole ambience, the whole infinite space is taken as God, as Almighty, and a seeker, a beloved, is yearning to merge into the God. So in the same way, Browning also repeatedly with different kind of example, he talks about that merger with the Almighty, and it is possible only when you complete your given task in one particular time. So when you are young, you have certain duties, certain responsibilities, certain activities are there given to you that you should fulfill, that you should complete. In the same way, when you enter in the old age, you should do your responsibilities and duties. Only then your preparation is right for moving ahead, and this moving ahead is life after this life. So these are some of the concepts which again we are going to meet here. I'll be quick in my explanation because ideas are repetitive. So I take explanation from stanza number 13. Therefore I summon age to grant youth's heritage. Life's struggle having so far reached its term, then shall I pass approved, a man for aye removed, from the developed brute, a god though in the germ. So poet says that youth is having its own heritage. What could be called as the heritage of youth? When you are young, you try to have knowledge, you try to have experience, you struggle for that, and the moment you gain wisdom, this wisdom is your heritage. So how this wisdom is acquired actually? By struggle and experience. The moment you pass days, the moment you struggle, definitely you become experienced, and experience teaches you a lot. So poet talks about here that heritage, that struggle, and he says that because of this wisdom that you acquire at the time of youth, you can be metamorphosed, you can be changed from a human being to a divine being. Like again I will refer here Bhagavad Gita, that this transformation comes not from outside, this transformation is always from inside. Every time there is existence of infinite being within us, but it lives in the dormant state. The moment you acquire this wisdom, the moment you have knowledge, the moment you start realizing yourself, you understand secret of life and you are awakened. Now your soul is not in the dormant state, and this is how possibility is through these struggles to obtain to have the state of infinite being from a demon, from a human. And I shall thereupon take rest till I be gone once more on my adventure brave and new, fearless and unperplexed, when I ways battle next, what weapons to select, what armor to endue. In next stanza, again poet comes with the contrary idea, and here Rabbi talks about the old age, and he says that now when you have entered in the old age, you do not require to get perplexed, to get confused and worried. So just as in the previous stanza we saw that if you are in the time of youth, you have so many confusions and doubts, but if you are in your young age, that doubt is clear. So it is a time to rest. It is not a time to act. General way also it is referred that when you are in your old age, you are supposed to rest, not to act. So that very thing he also refers here. So he says that old age is having its own this own newness, that means not to act and to evaluate. And confusion is also not there. Why confusion is not there? Because now you are an experienced man. So battle is here for the next life. That means youth, old age is doing preparation for the next life as youth has done for the old age. Youth ended, I shall try my gain or loss thereby. Leave the fire ashes, what survives is gold. And I shall weigh the same, give life its praise or blame. Young all lay in dispute, I shall know being old. Again poet in the next stanza does a kind of comparative analysis of the youth and old age, and he says that when this time of youth is over, now with the acquired wisdom and experience, an old man can evaluate what is my loss and what is my gain. So just as turning the pages of life from the past, an old man is having this evaluation faculty, this judgment faculty, this critical faculty, can declare that what is gain and what is loss. And not only this, if you are really an experienced man, you will surely declare that what is remaining with you is actually purified gold, or it is purified diamond. So just as you know that diamond always lives in the coal mine, or for having 24 karat gold, you need to do exercise, very rigorous task is needed for the purification of the 24 karat gold. So same thing poet says that whatever, that means at the time of youth you were surrounded with so many ideas, so many perplexities, so many things, and so many hopes and desires are there. But when you purge one after another, when you reduce your wishes and desires like Buddha into stages, and what remains with you, that is the only gold, or that is your gain in true sense. So poet says that when one is in old age, may go back and look, and by going back can review that what is the matter of praise and what is the matter of blame, for which I should blame myself and for which I should praise myself. So this dispute is actually over in the old age. For note, when evening shuts, a certain moment cuts, the deed ops calls the glory from the grey, a whisper from the west shoots at this to the rest, take it and try its worth, here dies another day. Here poet compares old age with the time of evening. Just as when evening comes, there is day is off. So what happens, that evening is the time when you take a kind of repose from your daily activities and routine, and you just pay a glance to your whole day activity, that what I did today, and you do a kind of evaluation. In the same way, poet says that old age should be taken, that the entire time of youth, the phases of youth that you have passed, it should be evaluated, it must be re-examined by old man, just like in the evening you evaluate your daytime. So certain moment cuts the deed of, when you are sitting silently, you do not work. That is what your leisure time, evening time is leisure time. Generally we take tea and snacks. So add this to the rest and take it and try its worth, and here dies another day. So just do counting that how I pass my day. So still within this light, though lifted over its strife, let me discern, compare, pronounce at last, this race was right, I the main, the acquiescence vain, the future I may face, now I have proved the past. So poet says that again this metaphor of evening is continued here for old age, and poet compares that living in this old age, when it is like evening, I may go back and I may do proper evaluation and judgment. Here the words which are used by poet, it is discern, compare, pronounce. That means I have this faculty of analysis, I have faculty of judgment, and I can do better evaluation than anyone on the basis of my past experiences. So time and again poet here highlights that experience matters a lot, especially the experience that you have gained, that you have acquired out of your struggle. So I told you in my previous lectures also that anybody cannot be browning just by growing old or just passing the days of life. So to be browning, you have to go through those struggles, you have to answer those questions which are not so easy to handle, like why have we here come on this earth, what is the purpose of life, just like all the philosophers do. Philosophers, they are engaged in the discovery of the ultimate goal or truth of life. Same is the case of browning, and if every ordinary human being will keep on questioning this very thing, will definitely think in this strain of, in the way Browning is thinking. So he says that here I may plan my future because I have enough support of my past, that means of my youth time. For more is not reserved to man with soul just nerve to act tomorrow what he learns today. Here work enough to watch the master work and catch hints of the proper craft, tricks of the tools true play. Once again, continuing the same idea in the next stanza, poet says that this if your today is better, then definitely your tomorrow is going to be best. And I think very practical idea here Browning gives, and some of the teachings of Browning so catchy or so close to our daily life understanding. Just what we need to focus and we need to follow that. Point is, or matter is what, that we know all these ideas but we do not follow in our course of life. Browning has followed these things. So he says that just as it is stated always that if your today is better, then definitely your tomorrow is going to be best. So this human life is divided into 3 phases, that means your past, your present and your future. So if you are securing your today, then definitely you are securing your past, and undoubtedly the result of that secured past and of this secured today is going to be best tomorrow. Here one example which poet gives, I think I must explain it. He just just as you are working under someone, you are for example a student of a great scholar, you are working under a painter, right? And a painter, a designer makes design, and the student who is taking training, you are a trainee, right, under the master, takes close observation of the activities of the master. So poet says that when you have got this human life, because in my previous lectures also I highlighted this very thing, that Browning believes like this world, if you have in this world, if you have got life of a human being, you are a blessed man, you are a blessed person. Meaning to say that so many species are here, insects, beasts, and in animals also different versions are there, in insects also different versions are there. So out of all human beings, they are of superior kind. So poet says that if you have got this human life, you should collect experiences at your best, And how you should collect experiences? By being optimistic. And who is our master and who is our painter or designer? Is God. So whatever God has created or given in this world, you should observe and you should learn a lesson from that. So here he gives example of the craft of master of art, that this world is art, God is artist, God is master, and we are the student of that master. And definitely if you want to be excellent, you have to learn the tools of this art. As it was better youth should strive through axe and cow toward making them repose on aught found made. So better is exempt from strife should know than tempt. Further thou willest as wait death nor be afraid. So if you have worked at the time of youth, then you are not required to get worried, because you are now exempted, you are now free from this struggle, this strife, and nobody is going to make you afraid. Meaning to say that those who are ignorant, they always feel fear of death, but the one who is having knowledge will definitely be not afraid of the function, the phenomenon which is called death. Enough now if the right and good and infinite be named here, as thou callest thy hand thine own, with knowledge absolute, subject to no dispute, from fools that crowded youth, nor let thee feel alone. Meaning to say that if at the time of your youth, if your struggle, your attempt to gain knowledge was in right direction, then definitely you should not be fearful of being alone. You know, the greatest problem of human life, we are suffering from loneliness. We always think that what will be of our future. And nowadays you may see that how children, they keep their parents in the shelter homes. So if you have understanding of life in right order, then you must have proper understanding of what is right, what is good, and what is infinite. So if you are understanding what is right and what is good, that means you are knowing alphabet of infinite. So to understand properly the image or concept or practice of infinite, you have to practice what is right and what is good. Okay, that means you should have distinction of good and bad. So be named here as callest thy hand thy own. So the one who is trying to have knowledge in the life must understand, must have discovered that all these faculties, goodness, knowledge, right, infinite, are the concepts, are the creations of that Almighty, that God, and the knowledge of infinite being is the absolute knowledge. And if you have these knowledges, then definitely you are not going to feel alone in your life ever. Be therefore once and all, served great minds from small, announced to each this station in the past, his station in the past, was I the world arranged, where they my soul disdain, right? Let age speak the truth and give us peace at last. So poet says that if you are living your life on the given direction of the God, nobody else will tell you truth, your whole life will tell you truth. Again, here he gives emphasis over the youth and old age, a kind of comparative analysis, a kind of evaluation of life in terms of old and young age. And he says that if in right direction you have passed your past, then definitely truth will follow you. Nobody. So as I told you that there is always lower self and there is always higher self. Okay. So you have to awaken your higher self. Nobody else will awaken to your higher self. Now who shall arbitrate? 10 men love what I hate, shun what I follow, slight what I receive. 10 who in ears and eyes match me, we all surmise, they this thing and I that, whom shall my soul believe? Now here idea little bit changes and poet gives a very different example than the previous stanzas. He said that if you closely observe and look at the people, you may find many discrepancies and many distinctions. For example, what I love, what I like most, 10 people or more than that may like that, or may be that 10 or 20 people dislike or they can criticize that. Okay, meaning to say that human beings apparently construction wise by their bodily structures they are similar, they are same to same, but opinion wise, view wise, conjecture wise they differ to each other. So I think the best example is your own family, your siblings, your mother and father. We all live together, but we all are not having same opinion. And especially when there is matter of the political issue, the left and right battle means you cannot help yourself the moment argument starts. So perhaps I gave right example, I don't know, but here I think idea is clear that people they are different to each other in terms of their views and opinions and conjectures. As far as their physical construction is concerned, from the side of God, God makes no distinction. God has made among human beings two types of structures, and that is male and female physical description. So ear, eyes and all these things they are same. So it may create confusion after listening so many views and opinions that which one is right. For example, Charvak says something else, and different schools of philosophies are here. Okay, Plato idea about God is different, Neoplatonic is different, Pantheism talks something differently. Though Pantheism, Vedantism, these things are quite close to each other. Or same, you may take example from the religions. You know, every religion is talking about a topmost figure. Every religion is talking about a final logo, okay, and that logo can be taken as God. But still, view wise, ideologies wise, we are having too much differences. So poet says, Rabbi Ben Ezra says that in this case, living in this world of illusion, for sometimes you may forget your path, or you may get confused that which opinion I should follow, which one is the right one. So it's very natural. And it happens only when you are ignorant or you are not mature by mind. Then you can be persuaded by anyone easily. Not on the vulgar mass called work must sentence pass things done that took the eye and had the price, over which from level stand the low world laid its hand, found straightway to its mind, could value in a trice. So poet says that what happens sometimes when you look at the popular views or popular opinions, it may create great confusion in your mind. For example, we nowadays believe in the philosophies like marketism, consumerism, and today is the time of, means this time is the time of packaging. So if you know the thing, the item, the material good that is packed under that packet is not good, but the outer covering or the outer packaging is very attractive, that will be sold very easily. I mean to say that if you want to look at the popular views and opinions, they may lull and attract you very well. Okay, and it is easy to come into the grip of ignorance and darkness because they are so lulling and charming. In the same way, poet says that the work that is noticed from the eyes of the people, it is not all about human work and human duties and human intention and human activities. So he says that the thing and idea which is not valued by people, it is valued by Almighty and God. So I have already stated in my previous talk that God is a great diary writer. Perhaps we can forget a moment of our life if we are in habit of writing this diary, but God never forgets. So He keeps account of your good and bad, your intention, your desires, and your approach towards life. So that very thing is here referred by poet, that something that is visible to the naked eyes of the people, to the people, they count only that, but what is invisible, it is counted by God. So lesson is what, that keep your intentions fair and keep your approach always right. But all the world's scores thumb and fingered failed to plumb, so past in making up in the main account. All instincts immature, all purposes unsure, that wait not as his work, yet swell the man's amount. So it may happen that when you are in your youth time or here on this earth, either in old age or in young age, in both the cases, many such instincts that you have and you don't have maturity, right? Meaning to say that many ideas, many thoughts that come to you, but you are not sure about that, your opinions have not turned into conviction. That is what all instincts immature, all purposes unsure. So many times, so many ideas come in our mind and we are not sure about that, and it happens that mostly the idea and the thing that should be done is ignored by us. But if this ignorance is just matter of just matter of what can be said, like unknowingly, if you have ignored something, then God is going to take into his account this very thing also. Though thoughts hardly to be packed into a narrower act, fancies that broke through language and escaped, all could never be, all men ignored in me. This I was word to God, whose will the feature shaped. Poet says that various ideas and various thoughts are here in our mind, but by birth we all are not a good orator and we all are not a writer. So it may happen that you have so many beautiful ideas which can bring sublimity in your thought process, which can be lofty in nature, but you cannot provide language to that, So two things are important, just as you go through Longinus, that thought and idea and the power of language. So if you have thought and idea, in order to express that, you need language. So poet says that it may happen that you have so many sublime thought and lofty ideas, but you lose this power of language, and because of that you cannot pour it down in front of people. But don't get tensed, because God listens that language, that voice which is unspoken, which is inside you, which is never produced by you. So he says that God is a potter, that means he is that creator who creates the feature. I think you are getting the potter and the feature. Very well-known example in the mystical poetry, that this entire world is a kind of feature, and the will over which this feature is made, potter creates this feature. Kumhar ghada और ये समय का पहिया. So the will upon which this feature is made, right, is time. This world is a feature and God is potter. So he says that if something that is inside you and that is very lofty and of very great nature is not known to the people, it is known to God, because God is the creator of this feature, the feature you are. That means the soul that you are carrying inside your body. So every time he listens you. Now same metaphor of the potter, feature and will is continued in the next stanza also by poet. Note that potter's will, that metaphor, and feel why time spins fast, why passive lies our clay. So poet here says that God is potter, will is the time, and we human beings are carrying in our body that soul is actually that clay. And why clay? Soul is why called clay? This body is actually clay, but living in this body, soul is in the passive form. So soul is also called here as clay. So once again I repeat this metaphor as per Rabbi Ben Ezra, that God is potter, time is will, and the human soul is clay. And how human soul is clay? Because it lives in the body, body is clay, and till dead it is in dormant state, or it is not awakened, it speaks the language of the body, it is called as passive clay. Thou to whom fool propounds, when the wine makes its round, since life fleets all is changed, the past gone sees today. So how this will, जो पहिया है, how this will moves actually. This will moves with its own pace. So this world is having always a kind of flux. Always this world is having a movement, that whirling movement. So just like Shri Krishna is having that Sudarshan Chakra and he is whirling that all the time, in the same way this potter named God is whirling this time. And time is always moving, there is always flux, there is always play, whether we notice or not. And we are victim of this change. And this is how present is turning into the past, and future, we are waiting for the future, and every future is becoming our present, and time is passing, and the day, our assigned days will be over. We meet our death and we think that we are going to meet our end, but this is not our end, rather there is entry for the another life. It is the belief of Rabbi Ben Ezra, and repeatedly, so many times he has dealt with this idea. I think concept should be clear here, that how human being, they are living in this world, they are moving with the pace of time, or time is fleeting in nature, and who regulates, who controls this time is God, is the ultimate potter. Fool all that is at all, last ever past recall, earth changes, but thy soul and God stand sure. What ended into thee, that was, is, and shall be, times will runs back or stops, potter and clay endure. So poet here gives very important idea, and I think this is the climax of Rabbi Ben Ezra, where he says that those people are fool who easily come into the popular views and opinions. For example, Omar Khayyam, or the philosophies like Charvak. Charvak tells us that eat, drink and be merry. That even you cannot, when you cannot fulfill your wishes and desires by your acquired money, then you may borrow money for that. This is the philosophy of Charvak, and that is complete materialistic goal of life. In the same way, Omar Khayyam also says that the present is most important, and live this present with a pleasure, with a sense of joy, and don't think about tomorrow, right? So poet here says that all those thinkers and all those viewers and philosophers who are thinking about their today, or who give this idea of today, they all are fool, and they do not know that this present is actually changeable in nature. No present is static. This present is going to be past. So earth changes, but thy soul and God stand sure. And if anything is here permanent, it is the soul. Soul, which is part and parcel, which is emanation of God. So this world, in this world, anything which is imperishable, anything which is away from the from the clutches of time, from the brutal nature and clutches of time, it is human soul. So what entered into thee, that was, is, and shall be. So what entered into thee, that means the body in which there is a soul, and the day this body will be perished, that means death will take place. Even after that, only one thing is going to be continued, and that is what? Our soul. So times will run back or stops, potter, clay endure. So potter, that means our creator, and creator has created what? Soul. Soul is in tiny form in the body. So meaning to say that two things are permanent. One is Atma and another is Paramatma. If I have to use this Hindi expression, right? So soul that is micro, and potter who is macro. Two things are permanent and rest of the things are going to decay. They are ephemeral in nature, very short life they are having. He fixed thee with the dance of plastic circumstances. The present thou forsooth wouldst faint arrest. Machinery just mean to give thy soul its bend, try thee and turn thee forth sufficiently impressed. So what happened that the day our ultimate potter creates feature, that means to we people, that means the day in this mortal clay a soul is poured down by our potter, at that day he decides, God decides our movements, our seconds, our minutes and seconds. So here you may notice Browning's that total surrender, that idea in which he is having complete faith in the working of the providence, in the working of the God, just like Shakespeare. So he says that just as when a dancer is given the musical beat, and if you are a good dancer, then definitely you have to catch the beats, है ना, म्यूजिक का जो बीट होता है. In the same way we are dancing on the musical steps of God. So he is here musician. This potter can be described here as musician, and he is giving us the dancing steps, and we are dancing. So just as human beings, they have made machine, because Browning was in the Victorian era, and in Victorian era there was too much growth of materialism. So machinery just mean to give thy soul its bend. As machines are selected on the basis of trial and error method, right? When we invented machine, we just take trial of that, and if it suits, it is beneficial for our lifestyle, then we select, otherwise we reject, and this is how marketism is done. So poet says that in the same way God has created innumerable beings, but out of which only few of us get this liberation. Why? Because the machine, we are machine God has created, and here this life is a kind of trial and error. When we are not performing, this machine is not performing up to the mark, God rejects and once again sends rejected people here to act, and if then our act is going to be proper and as per the desire of God, only then we will have that liberation or permanent form of freedom.